Okay, coming off a tough road loss, to say the least. We've got to put that behind us. We had a good practice last night. Have Cincinnati coming to town. I think everybody knows how good they are. 18 straight conference wins, 10-1 on the road their last 11 games. I think they got beat by Arkansas, which was probably a game they could have won that. Lead the country in sacks, lead the country in tackles for loss. Very aggressive defense. They really challenge you, play a lot of man, and they'll pressure you to play some zone. And offensively, they're very strong up front. They run the ball. They've been balanced. Just overall a complete football team. So we play them at home, and we're looking forward to the challenge. Questions?
Going back, obviously, to the other night against ECU, what offensively did anything what surprised you of that game? You weren't expecting that, I know, but what kind of jumped out?
I think, we turned the ball over early. I think if you really look offensively and you look how the game unfolded, I mean, we had a good drive early. We had a drop that possibly could have been a touchdown, and then we ended up turning the ball over the next play. Defense had trouble getting off the field. I think offense had 4 possessions in the first half. We got down on their side of the football and turned it over 3 times. And, second half, we came out offensively. We had the touchdown, had a little momentum, and they scored, got the momentum back, and it was uphill after that. And then when you had to start getting in the 2-minute mode, they dropped 8, made us hit the check down. But really what stood out to me offensively was the 3 turnovers. We don't turn the ball over. We're a pretty good offense.
Yes, when you look at the entirety of what John Reese has been able to do so far, what are some of the reasons why he struggles at times, and some of the reasons why he's able to kind of grasp his
the other night, obviously we're down there ready to score, and he's running, and they swiped the ball and got it right there. We had the interception on a lightning motion. He didn't see the safety right there. So, it's just, I think it's a matter of just, protecting the football. That would be the answer I have for that. When we protect the football, we've been pretty good. When we've not been very good.
Coach, you mentioned, the past night, a lot of self-inflicted wounds and things like that, and wasn't really a whole lot that went wrong, let's say scheme-wise or execution-wise, beyond the turnovers. When you have a situation like that, what is it you kind of focus on going into the next game? How tough is it as a coach to kind of get something out of that game to take it to the next game?
Yeah, well, I think they beat us handily, really, in all 3 phases. First of all, you got to give them credit. They had a very good offensive game plan, and they had a very good scheme, and they made the one-on-one plays. We challenged them man-to-man. They made the one-on-one plays, and you got to give them credit with that. But we weren't able to get off the field. They punted 1 time all night. We turned the ball over 3 times. You're not going to beat any quality team like that. So it's really, you just said it, self-inflicted wounds, and to have a chance to beat a team like Cincinnati, it's common sense. You can't do that.
Holton Ahlers was 30-36. What's most concerning about that statistic?
Well, he played really well, is what I would say. Their man, their one-on-one, he got the ball out quick when we pressured. He made some great one-on-one throws, made a couple of throws with guys in his face, but obviously we didn't do a very good job of, pressuring him, and so I think that's the number one thing. But he played well.
As it pertains to Cincinnati, you already mentioned the sack statistic. How much did it look schematically the same from last year? And what was the biggest factor in trying to slow them down?
Yeah, it's a similar scheme. They do a really good job of, they'll man up, they'll have some zone pressures. Their linebacker Pace, number 0, he's very, very active. I think he leads the country in sacks and tackles for loss. He's a handful. He's got a great motor. He's very impressive to watch on film. We're going to have to do a good job, not just containing him, but the whole defense. And anytime you're playing a really good defense, you got to be balanced. We're going to have to be able to run the football if we're going to be successful, and going to have to be able to throw it too.
With John Rice, obviously, he hasn't played quarterback really full time until this season. Everything's a learning experience, but just sometimes when to throw the ball away and not try to force it or take a sack. Is that an area where you saw where maybe there was a couple opportunities where he should have chucked it?
In his defense, he's fighting his guts out to make a play, especially late, and so we had a couple scramble drills and all that. But the thing about John Rice, he's a great competitor, and he's fighting his guts out every single play. There's a couple plays he would like to have back, but I really feel like if we hadn't put the ball in jeopardy and turned the ball over, we'd have felt different from an offensive standpoint. So he's doing some good things, and he's still, I think, getting used to the offense, and I expect him to play well the rest of the time.
Gus, when you look at what he was able to do film-wise, how did they limit you guys from explosive plays? I think you guys really weren't able to get those big long plays.
They were really playing deep. That's one thing. There wasn't a whole lot of what I would say explosive play opportunities. And, they did a good job with, especially the first half. We made some adjustments in the second half as far as our run game goes, but they were playing deep. We tried to throw it over the head a couple times. We had early in the game we had the big drop. I mean, I keep saying that, but anytime you look back on a game, and there's key plays, and that was definitely a key play.
Coach, you've mentioned Cincinnati and how strong they are up front on defense. I mean, under Coach Fickell, period, not just this year, they've been a pretty stout group.
Yeah.
Would you say that this might be the offensive line's toughest challenge this year up front?
Yeah, it definitely could be. And their head coach, Coach Fickell, he's one of the best in the business. He does a great job. They're very sound. They don't make mistakes. You've got to earn it. That's the thing when I watch film. And that's what we're going to have to do. Whether it's the run game or the pass game, we're going to have to earn that. And our guys understand that.
Considering you come into this game with one loss, for you to achieve the goals that you hope to, is this a must-win?
Well, I mean, every game you look at as a must-win. It's each game. So, I mean, this is a big game, and our goal is to win the conference championship. I mean, so we understand the challenge we have playing this team, but our guys are going to, they're going to fight hard. We're going to give them a good plan. We're looking forward to playing.
What was Javon Baker's status? I know he played, but he seemed like he was
Yeah,
limited.
he
You were holding
wanted,
him out.
he wanted to play, and he's a tough young man. He gave it, he gave it a shot out there, moving around, but he just couldn't move like he needed to move. But hopefully he'll be better this week. We'll see in practice. It'd be a day-to-day deal, but yeah, he just wasn't quite ready to play at his level.
Gus, Cincinnati's won 19 consecutive American Athletic Conference games. How challenging is it to have put together a streak like that? You've had games where you streaks, and what does that really mean when you look at the overall big picture?
Well, they have a real program, and that head coach has hung in there. He probably had other opportunities. He stayed there and built it the right way, and it's real impressive. In this league, it's so hard to do what you just said. I mean, there's some real teams, and it's hard to win on the road in college football, much less this league. So, they have a winning culture. It's impressive to watch, and it's a good challenge. It's one of the best teams in college football, but we're playing at home, and I know our players are looking forward to a game like this. So it's two conference rivals, and ought to be a good one.
Coach, coming off of the loss on Saturday against ECU, what's going to be the biggest challenge going into this game this Saturday? I know everyone was probably circling Cincinnati ahead of this season, but now you guys are coming in off of Saturday. What's the biggest challenge?
Our team's going to put last week behind us. I mean, we felt like crud, and we should have, but we'll put that behind us. I mean, we have a lot of respect for them. Our guys know, and you're exactly right. This is one of those games you look forward to. Our guys are going to be ready to go. Our coach is going to be ready to go, and I know our fans will be too.
Linebacker Jeremiah Baptiste looked like he didn't play as much, and he get banged up a little bit in that game. It was
He's been, he's a tough guy too. He hadn't been 100% in a long time, and so he's playing and all that. And this time of year, a lot of guys aren't 100%. But yeah, that was definitely a factor at times the other night.
Kind of going off the question that Trace asked earlier about Cincinnati, the conference goals. Last year against Cincinnati wasn't really the best performance. But now with this year, there still are some very achievable conference goals, even going to this game despite what happened on Saturday.
100%. Our goal is to win conference, and obviously you got to win your home games if you have a chance to win a conference. Like I said, one of the best teams in the country. But it's a great opportunity. Our guys are really looking forward to it.
How did you feel as though you guys handled the first out-of-state road trip? Some of the external factors that go into that, considering that not only after Cincinnati, you get two back-to-back games away from home as well.
Right. Well, you saw it for yourself how we played on the field, how we prepared up to begin. It would seem like a normal process, but the bottom line is we didn't get it done on the field, and we didn't match their energy. That was probably the most disappointing thing for me. They were playing with great energy, and we couldn't do that, especially after they got the momentum and we didn't get off to a great start.
After the loss, you talked about how they controlled the tempo. When that starts to happen, what do you and your staff and your team need to do to change that?
Well, first of all, you got to get off the field, okay, and then offensively you got to hold the ball. And it was kind of perfect storm that we couldn't get off the field, and they slowed the game down. They were taking the clock, and even when they went down and they kicked field goals, they were keeping the ball away from the offense. Then the offense got it, and we had a little first downs, and all of a sudden you turn the ball over and you give it right back to them. So it was the perfect storm. You got to give them credit. Like I said, they're a quality football team. They played extremely well, and we did the things that you do to lose a football game.
You said you guys didn't match their energy. Why do you think that is? And do you think the fact that you had such a dominating performance the week before, did that lull some guys into complacency?
Like I told our players, that's on the head coach. I got to figure out a way to get our guys to match people's energy. That's the bottom line with that. And we didn't get it done in that area.
What do you admire about Luke Fickell and how he's built that program? They made the playoff. He stayed there. He's alluded to it. He's had opportunities to go other places, but he's wanted to build that program into something. When you look at him, what do you like about what he's done?
I got a lot of respect for him anyway, but the fact that he's had other opportunities and he chose to stay there and build it. They take on his personality, and it's impressive to watch the way he's built that program. And they're one of the best teams in college football. And, last year I felt like after playing them, they'd have a chance to win the whole thing, and I think they were really close to doing that. They had 9 guys drafted, and, there's not a whole lot of drop-off, so that tells you the way he's built it. And I don't know if this is the 5th year, 6th year we've been, but you can tell he's been there long enough, the way he's recruited, their culture. It's just, it's just overall a real impressive program to look at.
Gus, you talked about the response from your team. What have you seen in the 24, 48 hours since that loss? A lot of the guys, and the leadership as well from some of these guys.
Yeah, we came out in practice yesterday. I want the guys to be disappointed. Our coaches, our players are disappointed because we didn't get it done. Our guys understand that. We got some mature guys and mature leaders. We came out in practice last night and watched the video. You put that thing in your rear view mirror, and then you turn on the film in Cincinnati, and our guys will be ready.
What has most impressed you about Colton Boomer and his consistency?
Yeah, we put him in a really tough spot the other night, because we were down 17 points. It was 4th down and 4. Hey, do you go ahead and try to go for it, try to score a touchdown, or do you take the points and try to get the onside kick? And so we put the pressure on him. He drilled it right down the middle, and then onside kick. Obviously, we didn't get it done in that, but he's answered the bell. He's a tough-minded young man that's very talented.
Maybe it's a little bit too early in the week to really get a gauge of how your team is feeling, but after that game, and you got back to work last night, knowing who you got ahead of you, you're still controlling your identity. How would you describe, you think, your team right now? Are they determined, focused, frustrated, angry?
Obviously, we didn't have a very good feeling after, we should. But our guys went out and practiced, and it was like a normal Sunday, and that says a lot about them. And I'm confident they'll rebound.
To what degree do you think discipline in particular will play a factor in this game, considering not only the way you guys have managed penalties over the last maybe 5 or 6 games, but the way that they've really taken a lot of penalties over the last 4?
Yeah, there's no doubt. And we had a couple of penalties the other night. We got to keep working to correct that. If you're going to beat a team like this, you can't beat yourself. That's the bottom line. So everything goes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Coach.